What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Let's Talk Movies. I am Brad.
Now Miguel.
And you cannot see us yet. And what the hell? There we go. Now we are on screen.
I had a pose and everything for y'all.
That is the last
fine.
2 days. The last 2 shows, I have screwed up the intro.
That's fine. It is what it is. It's always live. It's always live when we mess up. Actually, no, it's when we do recordings when we mess up the most. I don't know what it is, guys. Every time Brad... Every now and then we do like a pre-recorded stuff, but I shit you not, Brad has fucked up countless amounts of time, more times in pre-recorded than live.
We are 10 times better live than we are pre-recorded, which is really strange.
I think it's because we don't want any margin of error.
Yes.
So like if there's any like second of error, we have to stop. As compared to live, we just literally have to go with it.
Ruined.
Yeah.
But man, so this is episode number 3 of Purely and Simply Evil, a Let's Talk Movies podcast. And we are talking one of my favorite horror sequels of all time, More of the Night He Came Home, Halloween 2 from 1981. We are talking Halloween 2 tonight. So as we've talked about before on this Purely and Simply Evil show, we are going to go backwards in time. You know, on the main show, we talk a lot about current films. We talk about current news. That's kind of where we talk about a lot of the current Halloween stuff. But we're kind of at a place, Halloween Kills is kind of in the past a little bit now. We're kind of starting
to
move
fizzled out.
Halloween ends.
Yeah, it's like the talk is fizzled out. So now we can just sit here and as one of my good friends would once say, now is the time for a moment of reflection.
Right. So now we're gonna go back in time, and of course we're gonna keep doing that, not just with the Halloween franchise. We're gonna do that with a whole bunch of horror franchises and different horror films. We're not even not necessarily by franchise. Like we're not going to finish the Halloweens and then do the Fridays and then do the Elm Streets and then do the Exorcist. I mean, it's going to be kind of random and spotty. So
I mean, Brad had his choice right there. Obviously, we watched Halloween 2. Next one's my choice, and get ready, guys, because we're gonna watch a good one.
What?
Yeah, we're gonna watch a good one.
Really?
Yeah, the one that I've been told so many times. I
know nothing about this.
The one I've been told so many times by one of my friends. Which, by the way, shout out to you, Ryan. You're the one that told me all about it. Event Horizon. That one. Yeah. We need to see that one. I've been told it's pretty freaky. So
I've seen it, but it has been actually. I don't know that I've seen it all the way through.
I don't know this movie at all. I don't know this movie at all. I think. What's his name? Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park 3. Isn't he in this
Sam
movie?
Neill? Is he really?
I think so.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that. Yeah.
I see when I look up Event Horizon, I see his face, and I'm like, all right, cool. Well, it looks interesting.
That's fair. Now, again, I've had like 8 or 9 people on YouTube or social media and different platforms ask me, when are you going to do Halloween 4? When are you going to do Halloween 4? When are you going to do Halloween 4? We will do Halloween 4. We are going to keep going through the Halloweens as well. Like I said, we're going to get through everything. This is going to be. I'm really excited for this show because once again, you're getting two perspectives here. You're getting Miguel's perspective, which he's fairly new to the horror genre, and you're getting me, and I've been a horror fan for years. You know what I mean? So it's going to be really cool. And by the way, kind of a shameless plug, our full commentary of Halloween 2 is out now. It is out on the channel. It will be on Spotify. I'm really behind on uploading to Spotify, so this show will be on Spotify as well, and all of our past shows from the last month or so. I'll try to get those uploaded to Spotify sometime over the next couple of weeks. I know we're kind of moving into Thanksgiving. Once I have a little bit more time, I'll upload all those. But of course, YouTube is kind of where we do our main thing, just because most of our audience is on YouTube. I think we have, if you look at our analytics on podcast,
which you can't,
actual podcast platforms, us. We have like maybe 6 or 7 constant listeners on there. So I mean, like,
well, we gotta, we gotta tend to those fans.
Exactly, and most of you guys watch us here on YouTube. So that is it. By the way, we are at 291 subscribers on YouTube. If you are watching this, please, 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 please. I usually don't say this, but please be sure to leave us a like and also consider subscribing to our channel. We do movie updates, movie reviews. We do new shows every single Monday and Friday of each week, whether it's this show, whether it's our main show, Let's Talk Movies. And we post sporadic standalone videos as well throughout the week. So Art Wishwood is in the house. Brother, what's going on? He says, hi, Brad, Miguel. How are you guys? And what did I miss? You didn't miss anything. You missed me screw up the intro. And then we were talking about... we're talking Halloween 2 tonight, obviously, and we're just kind of talking about what films we have coming up next.
Our next one will most likely be Event Horizon. So if you're a fan of that, let me know. Give me a non-spoiler brief if you see it as what to expect, because I'm going in there full nudity, just not knowing what to do.
Full frontal nudity. Halloween 4, Event Horizon. We're gonna keep trucking with those. And we're going to move into Christmas horror films as well. So to answer your question, you didn't really miss much. So let's do this thing. Let's talk Halloween 2 from 1981, written by John Carpenter and Debra Hill, directed by Rick Rosenthal. So rewind the clock a little bit. This film came out in 1981. Halloween came out in 1978. It was wildly successful. I mean, Halloween, you have to look, Halloween had a $300,000 budget. Most of that budget went to the Panavision cameras that they used, because that was a fairly new thing at the time, because, you know, obviously Dean Cundey, the great Dean Cundey, Jurassic Park, Halloween, Back to the Future, all of the above, wanted to use that Panavision, and he and John Carpenter both agreed that was the way to go. But the majority, I think it's like 75% of their budget went to the camera, for the entire film. But it's funny because actually Julie and I just watched this while we ate dinner. There is a Netflix show, Miguel, you got to check this out, called The Movies That Made Us, or The Films That Made Us.
I saw like the first 30 minutes of the first episode,
and I just
removed it. No, it was just the first episode. Was the first episode Halloween?
Yeah, Halloween was the first episode. Yeah.
No
Dude,
way.
It was amazing. It was amazing. I don't know everything.
I thought it was Back to the Future.
I don't know, but it was great. I really enjoyed it.
Well, I guess
I'm going to keep watching it.
I'll have to check it out then.
It was great, but they actually showed Dean Cundey like walking around, like using the Panavision cameras and like kind of showing, because what you can do with those, it basically straps to your body, and you can actually like walk around with the camera on, and it allows you to do so much more. That's how they got the epic shot in the beginning of which they actually filmed last at the beginning, when Kid Michael is walking up to the house, and then he looks around the side at the window. He looks up at the window, and the light shuts off when Judith and her boyfriend go upstairs to and then he comes back and he walks around the house, and and the rest is history. And then he goes up and kills Judith. But obviously Halloween had a $300,000 budget. It made over $70 million at the box office. So it was a wild success.
The first one.
The first one, yes. Erwin Yablans, Mustafa Akkad completely wanted a sequel. And John Carpenter and Debra Hill did not.
That was something I saw that you told me that I was like surprised with. Yeah.
Want a sequel. He was not about it. He hated the idea of a sequel. John Carpenter has famously called Halloween 2 an abomination. He can't stand it.
And yet it's your favorite.
Well, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite of the franchise, but it's in my top 5. Like, it's one of my favorite entries of the entire franchise.
It's generally speaking, it's everyone's like favorite, so to speak. Because when in the height of Halloween Kills, I mean, on Facebook posts, I'd see everyone post their rankings, and it was always like Halloween 1 and 2 were always like in the top rank, or top tier, so to speak. So, I mean, even though I think it's hilarious to know that John Carpenter hated making that movie, yet it's still everyone's favorite. And they're right.
I think part of it is the nostalgia aspect of it, because whether you like the plot and the story and the film itself or not, you have to agree Halloween 2 literally feels like an extension of Halloween 1. The vibe, everything is exactly the same.
Yeah, I shouldn't
say exactly the same, because they do take liberties. He kind of half-assed the story, to be completely honest.
There was no like attempt to like further the plot, so to speak. It was just trying to continue with the situation at hand.
Yes, it was
along with that little weird fever dream hash out of his storyline or something bullshit like that.
Hell?
I want to see.
No, it's not wrong. But there were like three comments, and then suddenly it was just like boom, and like 7 more comments came down. I don't know if it glitched or what. Art says he wants to live his life through Panavision. Joel, what's going on, Joel? It's still my favorite sequel to this day. It's one of mine, man. Absolutely. Halloween Kills beats out Halloween 2 1981 and Halloween 2018 for me. Strong opinions.
Ooh.
We will do a ranking. Once we get through all the Halloweens, we'll do a ranking of all of them.
I'm curious to know why, though. Why is it your favorite? Because, I mean, it's obviously, it goes far from the typical horror tropes that you would expect with all the Halloween franchise. From my perspective, Halloween Kills seems like a black sheep to me, because I love it, but a lot of people did not find it great on the first rip.
I think the black sheep of the franchise will always and forever be Rob Zombie's H2. I really do. I think that movie is
that's not the black sheep. That's the drunk uncle. You just don't. You tell his kids not to
that you don't associate with.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh God. ESPN.
It's my fantasy football, guys. I'm literally 12 points away from losing. So wish me luck, guys.
So here's what happened. So the first film was wildly successful. Okay. John Carpenter and Debra Hill go on to make The Fog, another very successful film, also starring Jamie Lee Curtis. Akkad and Yablans wanted a sequel. They were like, it is a green, it is a go. And as I said, when you have a film with that, it had the $300,000 budget, $70 million in. I mean, that's over $600,000. No, that's it's unbelievable. I can't even do that. I know I can't do the math in my head. I'm terrible. So they wanted a sequel. So due to a legal issue, John Carpenter and Debra Hill returned to write the sequel. He did not want to direct it.
Legal issues? Was he forced to do this?
In a way, yes, because there was a lawsuit type deal with the release of The Fog that kind of brought him back. And he came back on 2 conditions, essentially. He came back on the 2 conditions that Halloween, after this was over, this would be the end. This is the last of the Michael Myers storylines. There's no more. And also that, I know, right? And also that they would continue the anthology route, which we know they did with Halloween 3 for a short while until they realized, wow, people hate this. This is not what they want to see. I hated it at the time. I know Halloween 3 is a cult classic. I love it. That's going to be a really fun watch for us too, Miguel, for this show.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting topic for me for this show. Coming from someone that loves the idea of anthologies, I think that would be a good discussion for me to have, because if I were to say initially, not knowing about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, I think if they were to do an anthology, they should have did it on Halloween 2, not 3, because you had already. I think at that point you already solidified Michael Myers as like a horror star, I guess is the best way to put it. It's a horror money pit, and I think that if he would have done an anthology on Halloween 2, it probably would have done well, honestly.
It probably would have, but again, I think this sequel, of course, critically, in terms of the box office, it didn't do as well, but people wanted to see a sequel, and that was what mattered.
Yeah.
So John Carpenter and Debra Hill begrudgingly came back due to the legal matter with the Fox distribution or whatever.
Begrudgingly, they came in with a
I know they really did, and it's kind of funny because they didn't like John's script. John didn't like the way that the film was directed. Nobody liked it. Like nobody
liked being there, guys. Nobody did.
Nobody involved in Halloween 2 was really happy with it, I think, at the time. Now, of course, now it's been 43 years now. They might kind of change their tune. They might look at it differently.
No, they still hate each other.
Eventually, Erwin Yablans sold the rights to Dino De Laurentiis, who was a big fan of the original film, and it ended up being distributed by Universal, which was huge. That's a big deal. As we know, Universal is still, to this day, distributing Halloween films. And there were originally a few different directions. There was one treatment that they had written where Michael followed Laurie to college. She was off in college, and he was stalking her there. I don't really like that as much. That's almost like, are we just going to rehash the same exact thing? There was another one that was really interesting, and I believe there's actually like a short first draft script treatment, something like that out there, where Laurie kind of did the H-18 thing where she kind of was a recluse and she was all like protecting herself and she was into like fighting back and all this stuff. But she lived in a high-rise building, I believe in Chicago, since this is set in Illinois. She lived in a high-rise building in Chicago, and Michael finds her there. Loomis is hot on his trail. That sounds very Die Hard to me. Like if you, it does.
Sounds like it would have been a dope Christmas movie then.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'd like to see Michael Myers in Chicago. That sounds very Die Hard, Jason Takes Manhattan-ish.
I was gonna say, which, by the way, our intro, which, by the way, good job to Brad, guys. Our intro, whenever it shows Jason in Manhattan, that's such a great scene, man. It really is. To me, it is.
Friggin' scene where they were actually in New York City.
I know, but I'm just saying, it's a great scene, and yeah. But I mean, if Michael Myers were to just, when did Jason Take Manhattan come out? Because at that point, it would have just been like, oh, let's just copy off of whatever Jason later. Or vice versa.
I know it was not 1989. So yeah, this came out 8 years before that.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's funny that you guys are talking Halloween Kills in the chat, which I love. Again, be sure to leave us a like if you haven't already. Art even says, so I knew I would love the chaotic nature of kills. I love variety. It's the spice of life. Now, here's the thing. Part of me would like to think that Halloween Kills took a lot of inspiration from Halloween 2.
Yes.
I say that
I
because
feel like I would agree.
a lot of the themes are very, very similar. The town when you get the scene where Loomis and Deputy Hunt pull up to the Myers house and the cop walks out of Judith's bedroom onto the balcony and he's just kind of shaking his head, and there's the angry mob and they're throwing rocks and they have baseball bats and they're like, whatever, and Loomis starts spouting his psycho doctor, the tribe, like they've killed one of their own, now they're going after him now, and the Deputy Hunt is like, what the hell are you talking about? like the cops are starting to look at him like he's insane. But I would like to think that a lot of that chaotic nature that you were talking about, Art, a lot of the town rising up, people not knowing what's going on, they're just angry for no reason, that kind of thing, not for no reason, but I don't know, that same chaotic the movie is going in like 10 different directions atmosphere. I feel like that was something they really tried to encapsulate and push in Halloween Kills. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree, because if I were to literally place Halloween 2 and Halloween Kills next to each other, I could find so many similarities based on one another. So I can guarantee that Halloween Kills is like, it did take much of inspiration from Halloween 2. And
even
that's cool.
Look at the Ben Tramer thing. The Ben Tramer
I
thing
want to
versus
talk about that.
the
I wanted a
Tivoli. I know
whole thing
we're
about
gonna get
Ben
there.
Tramer.
Ben Tramer was killed when he really didn't need to be, and Mr. Tivoli from Smith's Grove was killed when he really shouldn't have been. They were both completely innocent, but they got in the way of what was going on. And of course, I mean, obviously, one was kind of Loomis's fault. The other one was, I'm sure if Brackett and Loomis would have been like, hey, like if they would have ran up to him and realized it wasn't Michael and been like, hey, can we just talk to you for a minute? Like, hold on. I'm sure he wouldn't have freaked out and ran. But of course, Loomis gets out of the car, gun reloading, and like try, you know what I mean? And Loomis is going to start shooting. And of course, if you're a 17-year-old kid and the sheriff and crazy man with a gun with a revolver runs out of a car and starts taking off after you, I'm sure I'd run too. So
yeah.
But I don't know. So that I would like to think that Kills kind of takes a lot of inspiration from 2. So let's talk about the plot a little bit. So Halloween 2 opens up with a recap of what happened in the first film. It is an actual recap. It's the stock footage from the original film. And we know that because it's Nick. When you see Nick Castle sit up, it is Nick Castle. It's not Dick Warlock. They're very similar. And I think Dick Warlock did a really, really great job as the shape. But it's still very distinguishable which one is which. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could tell.
You can definitely tell who
at that
who.
point. Yeah, it was mainly the V-neck for me.
Yeah,
it was the V-neck. Me and Julia said the same thing. Like, my boy, if he had chest hair, we would have seen it.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of a point of contention is obviously part of what John Carpenter wanted was the original film. When Michael is gone at the end, that's why they show all the clips of the house, the empty houses in the street, and the all the different places, because it's like, where is he? Like, where did he go? And I think the fact if we would have just continued the film, I don't know. There's something about Loomis running down the stairs and running out on the lawn and feeling the ground and like seeing the blood, and then the neighbor running out and like, what's going on? I've been trick-or-treated to death tonight. You don't know what death is. I mean, there's something about that I'm just kind of like, it's a good beginning to the film, but it's also like, do you think it detracts from the original at all? Like the original ending?
A little bit, because it pretty much pulled away from like the eerie nature that Michael Myers solidified in the first movie. Yeah. Because everyone thought he was just some killer in a mask. But then when Loomis shot him and he literally conveyor belt off the roof, like literally and then when Loomis comes and tries to find him and he's gone, it basically solidified him as a force of nature, right, to be reckoned with. And for him that right there would have been a perfect way, which I'm sure John Carpenter probably thought that was a perfect way to end Michael Myers' storyline of like, this is not like a simple man. This is literally a supernatural being or just some type of force that plagued Haddonfield during Halloween. And even though Loomis was able to drop a full clip on him, he was still able to get up and walk away. And that made it more scary to the fact that back then, like, you protect yourself in the house with just, a revolver. But if that didn't do much for Michael Myers, he's still out there, meaning he can go in your house, he could be in your neighbor's house, he could be in your friend's house, he could be anywhere at that point. And that made it more scary for that fact to know that even though he fell off the house and all you saw was the imprint, which did we see the imprint in the first movie?
No.
Oh, no. Well, damn. I guess in the second movie, boy, he fell with some force. Like, like you saw the imprint of Michael Myers, like just full on Patrick Star just over there. And I was like, whew. He didn't jump on there. He dived onto the ground.
It's funny because there's that Loomis running out of the house. I'm not being political at all. I'm just making a joke. That gif of Trump when he's like, that's how Loomis looked running out. Like, he opens the door and he runs down the stairs and he opens the door and he sees the imprint and the blood on the lawn and he just goes. Like, and he just looked like shell shocked.
Yeah, he was there like, so this 22-year-old just took 6 bullets to the chest. Okay, we're doing
no
something
man
new
can
here.
take 6 slugs.
Yeah.
So obviously the pumpkin opening did honestly the opening with the pumpkin where it splits and there's a skull inside, that may be my favorite opening of the franchise for me, even beating the original, even beating Kills and 18. In terms of the opening, 2 is probably my favorite, and then 2018 when the pumpkin like rises, it's like it rots in reverse. I think that's dope. So that the pumpkin intro is incredible. It's my favorite of the franchise. The way the skull splits, it's like wow, it's really, really
I was
cool.
confused for a hot minute because it was like 3 minutes of just showing the pumpkin, and bro, I was like, "This is my favorite," and I was like, "It's a pumpkin." Like, what are we getting at here, guys?
You're like, other than the way it's carved, what's different about the rest than the rest
really,
of them? Yeah, that opening is incredible, man. Joel also says Warlock is my favorite, Michael, because this movie is my sentimental fave. It was the first Halloween movie I saw in theaters during its original theatrical run. That's amazing, dude. That's incredible. That absolutely incredible. I would pay money to be able to go back in time and see one of these in the theaters again, and what that must have been like for the first time. My actual first Halloween film in the theater, because I became a fan like later. Actually, I wouldn't have been old. I still would have been too little to go when Resurrection came out.
I about to say, like, by the time Halloween came out, you were just a scratcher in your dad's balls at that time. You really, I was even thought of.
I know. I was too small when Resurrection came out. I was alive, but I was too small. Rob Zombie's H1 was the first one I ever saw in theaters,
which is interesting if you think about it, for him to be like a major Halloween fan, and then now for him to grow out of it.
I was into horror before I was into Halloween. I honestly, I didn't get into Halloween until I was like a later teenager when I saw Rob Zombie's Halloweens in the theater, and I loved them. And honestly, it's funny because the first time I ever saw the original, I was like, it's okay. And then it's like when I watched the rest of the series, I was like, okay, I got more of an appreciation. Of course, now the original is the original. You know what I mean? It's remarkable.
Yeah, it's the same reason why it's the same principle for me with the whole Godzilla franchise. Like, my first, which is hilarious because my first one is the 1998 Godzilla from Paramount. That's the first Godzilla movie I saw. Yeah, and then I saw the original 1954, and then so on and so forth. That grew an appreciation for it. Yeah. So it's pretty much the same principle for the two of us, just different franchises. So were you a fan of Michael Myers when we met? Because that was in high school. Were you like already?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was by then. I was by then. I was. Now I wasn't as like engulfed in the series before, as I am like now, or But I mean, obviously, I'm a fan now. Like I've done my due
diligence. Yeah, we grew up. We got out of middle school and high school where we got bullied for our likes. Now we're adults and we can feel free to like what we like without being
without being judged.
Yeah, I never mentioned how much I love Godzilla in middle school and high school. Never mentioned it in a day of my life to anybody.
I don't know if I really talked about it either, but like, I don't know.
It was just kind of those things.
It's kind of like a piece of me, though. You know what I mean? Like it is, and that sounds really dumb, but like it is. Like that, these movies are like they're part of the reason I love film. You know what I mean? And even it's funny that Joel, you were talking about like having like putting sentimental value on this because it was the first one you saw in theaters. And I have a lot, especially H2, a lot of problems with Rob Zombie's films. But Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 is always going to be like really special to me. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite by any means. And H2 is possibly the biggest disappointment in the franchise for me, just because I felt like that film had a ton of potential and it just got squashed. But like the Rob Zombie films will always hold a special place in my heart because they were the first 2 that I saw in the theater. I saw them with my dad, who my dad has been a horror and a Halloween fan since before I was born. You know what I mean? So it's just like the Rob Zombie films do have that sentimental value for me, It's pretty cool. He says it was awesome, great memories. The lines to get in were wrapped around the building. No multiplexes back then. You get there on time or it was your ass. That's awesome, dude. That's so cool. Joe Mama says the Ben Tramer scene is the greatest moment in slasher history.
Boy, really, it is. Okay, we can talk about it. I'm gonna talk about it.
But before we get to Ben Tramer, so obviously, Michael we get through the opening credits. Michael is kind of on the loose. We get the famous Elrod scene. He's walking around, which again, Halloween Kills. The alleyways, like behind the houses.
Oh, okay.
Well, we have that too. But I mean, like, it looks identical to the flashback when Hawkins is chasing him through the alleys. And if you've ever been to Illinois, like I had an aunt that lived in Chicago and her mom lived in Chicago. I mean, like, it's really like that. Like, there's alleys behind houses where everybody puts their garbage can and all that. Like, it's kind of not, it's not quite the same as like, like I just put my garbage can at the end of the driveway. You know what I mean? They have their own little drive in the back in between people's houses where they put their stuff and whatever. So we get the famous Elrod scene. She, you want mayonnaise or mustard on your sandwich? And he's asleep in there. He's watching Night of the Living Dead, which is a really cool nod to that film. I love another one of my favorite horror films of all time. And of course, we get the famous Michael's walking down the alley, and it's like, you see your dad when you're drunk. Loomis runs up to Brackett. I shot him 6 times. Six times. He says 6 times, like 28 times. And Brackett's like, get in the car. Brackett's like, I'm so sick of this. Get in the car. So they pull away. We get the first kill. The woman, the young lady saying about, which I thought it was strange, and I mentioned this in our commentary, when she hears Mrs. Elrod scream, and it's strange that he doesn't kill them. I always found that very strange. That's one thing
that I thought that was interesting as a unique parallel, so to speak, because I mean, it's the same way as how Michael Myers gets into how he gets away and kills, because he gets away, he disappears, and he finds this old couple. But in Halloween Kills, he actually murks them up.
Right.
But then this one, he just, like, as you said in the commentary, and I'm gone. Like, after he grabs a knife.
It's funny because, like, you see it from his perspective, like a shark. Like, he gets in the house and she's kind of watching the TV. She's hearing what's going on like the breaking news thing, like people have been murdered, whatever. And then the camera cuts and you see him asleep watching Night of the Living Dead and her standing in the doorway. And Michael is standing there holding the knife and he's just like, goodbye. And he just like ducks out of the house and he's gone. But yeah, I always found it strange. Like, are they not worth his time? Or is he, exhausted by this point? Is he
got the wind knocked out of him, if you think about it.
I mean, well, yeah. And he's also been shot and stabbed 3 times, once in the eye, once in the leg. I mean, like, he's been through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting to think, like, how, I don't know, because you would think that 22-year-old Michael Myers would probably have more energy and ferocity to just go on a killing spree than 68-year-old Michael Myers. Which, granted,
the more he kills, the more he transcends.
Oh, fuck off! No, I get that now, because in the first movie he only killed what, like 3 people, 3 or 4,
5.
5. Okay, well, he killed like 5 people. Because it was
Annie, Bob, Linda, the mechanic. I thought that was a 5th. You can't count the dog.
I'm counting the dog.
Maybe it's only 4.
By the way,
I might be wrong.
When I saw that,
I could completely be wrong.
When we were watching the POV of him in the alleyway and he gets scared by a fucking Rottweiler, I was like, my man, you just ate a dog.
He did jump too. He was like, oh.
And then you choked a German Shepherd, which is, by the way, heavy to hold by his neck. So I'm just saying, like, keep that same energy if you're going after a Rottweiler. I guess a Rottweiler is a different breed.
Yeah. I think it's funny in Kills when Hawkins and his partner walk in the house and he's like, Hawkins, there's a dog in here. It was just like a funny nod.
Yeah.
So obviously Loomis and Michael, Lori has been transported to the hospital. We're going to get to the paramedics. Good Lord. We're not going to get to them yet.
Hall & Oates.
I don't even know.
Brad really doesn't like the paramedics.
I really don't. Jimmy is a creeper, like hardcore. He wants her bad, and she just went through some crazy traumatic experience, and I don't know. It's weird. We're gonna get to them. Art, you're right. He kills 5 people in the first movie, but I'm talking in 1978. The mechanic, when Loomis finds him, Annie and Bob, and then Linda. That's 4 on Halloween night in 78. That's what I'm thinking. 5 if you're Miguel and you include the dog. Yeah, Joel says Hall & Oates. Seriously, that's what Miguel said the first time he saw God, what's his name? Bud. When he saw Jimmy and Bud, he was like Hall & Oates. So I don't know.
Slap a mustache on them, and guess what? They're a duo. I'm just saying, guys.
Yeah, I have a lot of issues with those. I love them. They're cool characters, but they're creepers. Anyway, so Lori gets taken to the hospital, and then we get Loomis and Brackett are on the hunt. They're combing through the streets, and as Miguel has been dying to talk about,
Super Saiyan Michael Myers, man. Super Saiyan Michael Myers. Yep. Scene. I thought it was interesting the fact that there was. So that's a common mask. So that's what we're getting at here. That's a common mask for people to wear. If
I guess
Michael and poor Ben Tramer had that,
I mean,
clearly it's something you buy.
We only
it's
saw
like it's a known. Yeah, but I mean, if 2 people buy it, it's not something you like come upon at a Hattonfield.
I mean, the Ben
store.
Tramer mask had blonde hair though. Michael's isn't blonde.
What you think he went home and dyed it? I mean, that's something you would do, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, if that was, but that's definitely that's like a common mask people buy at a store. So clearly, people have bought those masks, and it just so happens, poor Ben Tramer and Michael Myers had 2 masks. Yeah. So yeah, but it was just funny that it was a blonde hair. I was like, why is it blonde?
Well, so again, that our commentary is live now. You can watch Halloween 2 with us. That video is out on our channel. But when that scene happened, I thought Miguel was about to jump off the couch. Like, I could tell when Loomis got out of the car and Brackett was like, wait, Loomis, what are you don't know, like, stop. You don't know what you're doing. And Loomis goes to shoot and Brackett, like, pushes his hand up or whatever.
See, that's what I thought. I thought Ben Train was going to get shot. I was like, oh, Loomis is just going to shoot him in the back. But then it cuts through the fucking cruiser. It jumped to the cruiser.
Coming in hot.
Yeah. What made it worse is that it showed him getting like slammed by the cruiser onto the van, and then it just combusted like a Looney Tunes
I looked over
commercial.
At Miguel when it actually hit Ben Tramer and he like gets pinned up against the car and then it explodes. Miguel was like,
yeah, I was like, I didn't know how to react to it. I was like, what the fuck? Because first off, poor Ben Tramer. Like, I feel bad for the kid.
Poor kid, but he went and got drunk.
He was literally like
just trying to get trying to get home.
Yeah, he really was. What really pissed me off, what really threw me for a loop, was the fact that I get Brackett got the news, but everyone was just sitting there was like, oh, we're gonna get in trouble with this.
Moving on. Well, it's funny because Loomis Brackett's going, is it him? Is it him or not? And Loomis goes, Loomis is like, I'm so gonna lose my license for this. Like,
yeah, he said that's gonna look bad in the report.
It's like it's in like National Treasure when Riley looks at Nick Cage and he goes, "We're going to prison, aren't we?" Like that was like Loomis's thought right then. But yeah, man, it's just that scene.
But then they just blew right past it. They blew right past it. Is what fucking fucked me up right there. Because look, I get it. Brackett just found out that his daughter has been murdered. But I feel like if this poor little fuck just got rammed and they thought it was Michael, I figured the entire cavalry would show up. No,
they're out looking for Michael. They're dealing with all the other crap that's going on.
Well, they thought that was Michael. Everyone thought that was Michael. Or the cops did. Loomis definitely didn't think it was, which no. I would have known. If I was Loomis with a PhD in psychology or whatever the fuck in the mind, I would be able to distinguish the difference between a mask with black hair and a mask with blonde hair.
Right.
Just saying.
Joe Mama, you bring up a good point, and I have never thought about this. And the cop that ran into Ben said that he didn't see him, so he was going to hit the van anyways?
Yeah, he was there.
Why was the van parked in the middle of the street?
I know.
Things
there
that
was
I
nothing
never
that would
ever
stop the
noticed
van
before. Yeah,
there's nothing that would stop the van.
Never noticed before. But
that is interesting.
Also, why was the cop going like 80 down that like small suburban street when kids were out trick or treating? Like,
yeah, it's not like they knew what Michael Myers looked like at the time. There was no like physical depiction of him.
They're looking for a serial killer, and the police are flying down streets, and Loomis is running around, and everybody's trying to catch Michael. And you can obviously know something is going on, and all these kids are just like, So which house should we hit up next? Like they're just like kids are out just trick or treating and having a good old time.
Why are you going like 45 where are your parents?
That's something I've said for every single entry in the Halloween franchise. Is like, where are your parents at? Like, why are they gone? You shouldn't be alone. But yeah, man, that scene it's remarkable. And then of course, Deputy Hunt pulls up. Lee, they found 3 kids dead. One of them was Annie, and he just like it's Academy Award winning. Let me tell you,
the entire cast. And of course, and
Brackett goes, "What?" And he gets in the car, and you would think Loomis would be like, "If you were Loomis, do you get in the car? Do you stay with Ben Tramer? What do you do?" like what? Well, Loomis, I mean, obviously he didn't think he knew it wasn't Michael.
Yeah, he knew it wasn't Michael, so he had to go with the cops because obviously they're to investigate the situation at hand. Otherwise, he's left with a burning body and just sitting there, like contemplating what the fuck just happened. Poor Ben Tramer, man. But by the way, his body was charred.
Oh yeah,
when they revealed him.
And I mentioned that on the commentary too. Like when they put his butt, when Loomis lifts up the sheet or the dentist lifts up there, or whatever, when they're trying to get his dental records to ID him, I was like, his butt, man, like. And it's, again, something I never thought of until you and I were having a conversation. But, like, why did they not put the fire out so they could, like, somewhat ID his body? He was crispy, crunchity, peanut buttery. Like, he was crispy. I know that sounded strange. He was crispy though. Like he was, I don't know. It was awful. So of course we get introduced to the hospital staff. And really for me, the middle of the movie is where it starts to get bogged down. And there are, Miguel and I even watched after we finished, we didn't do this as part of the commentary, but we watched some of the deleted scenes from the film. And I think we both agreed. I would almost interchange a couple of the scenes where nothing is happening at the hospital, or even like the scene when we find out that the nurse, I forget her name, is going to be late to work. Like some of those scenes, like I would almost interchange them with some of the deleted scenes. Like I'm almost like, why did you decide to leave that in and not some of the deleted scenes? Because they almost added more exposition. Not a lot, obviously, it's nothing crazy, but they almost added in more exposition than some of the scenes that they already had in there did. You know what I mean? Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure John Carpenter was even more pissed when he found that out.
I know.
He said, not only did I not want to write this movie, but you didn't give me the movie that I wrote. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel
like the entire time John Carpenter was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. He said, but you said you didn't want to make this movie. I said, I don't care. I wrote the movie. I want to see what it was. So, like, yeah. Like the security guard in the cat scene looking for, whatever.
Yeah,
I was dozing off at that point. I was like, because Brad already told me, he was like, this is just a filler. And I was like, all right, checking out.
Some people love that scene. I think it's pointless. I'm not wild about the cat scene. Why is there blood in the dumpster? Like, why? Why the cat? It's just the whole. Now, I will say once Mr. Garrett goes into the room with the doors and he's flicking off the locks and he's trying to see. That's suspense. That works. But the whole scene of him going outside, them fooling with the radio for 5 minutes, like I'm like, why do we?
Yeah, how it flipped from the security guard to the nurse time and time again. I was like, what was the point of this?
I know, no suspense. She had no idea. She was looking. She had that radio and she was like, like she had no idea what she was doing with that radio.
No, not at all. Which is hilarious.
She kept going like it's like cell phones don't even exist. Why are you? It's the 80s. Like, why? I don't know. She had no idea what she was doing. But there were scenes like that, and even some of the scenes of Michael. Like, there are a few scenes of Michael once we get to the hospital because the bulk of the movie takes place at the hospital, where we get Michael walking down hallways, and I'm like, okay. Where are we going? Like, what's the end goal? Or Lori when she's all doped up and she's just crawling around. Like, they could have taken some of that out. You know what I mean? And I said this, you could have shaved maybe 8 minutes or so off of this film, or interchanged it with some of the deleted scenes that at least added something to some of the characters, that added to Miss Alves, to Bud, to Jimmy, just some of the different scenes like that. I don't know.
Yeah, at that point, it would have been much better if the movie was shorter.
Yeah.
Than having all of those fillers. At that point, you're just trying to say, "Oh, this is a 180 minute movie or something like that."
And it drags a little bit. Like somebody on that the movies that made us show that we just watched, I might have been Tommy Lee Wallace, said that John Carpenter likes to stretch the rubber band to like its breaking point in terms of the tension, and that's good and that works. But it only works so much. You can't stretch it to the point where I'm like, I'm waiting to go. Like, when are we finally going to land? Because I almost feel like the hospital scenes, when we finally get, yes, we get Bud's death, we get his chick nurse's death. I forget her name. The hot tub scene, and that's all great. But like, again, Laurie crawling around. When we finally get Michael and Laurie face to face again, I'm like, that should have happened like 15 minutes ago. You know what I mean? Like, we could have been there already. So I don't know. That's just, it's little things like that I feel like there's a deleted the pacing scene. And the Karen. Yes, Art. Thank you, Karen. Little things like that could have just made the pacing a little bit better.
There was a deleted scene that showed Laura being held down because she wanted to escape. That was a scene that definitely should have stayed in the movie as compared to us seeing Laurie just,
I believe it was when Jimmy tells her. Was it when Jimmy Michael tells escaped. Her that it's Michael Myers, like that's who he is or whatever, and she's like, she starts freaking out, and they try to drug her and whatever, and like that was a good scene. Like I wouldn't have minded if that was.
And that one would have made more sense. That would have made more sense at the fact when Michael finally gets to Laurie's room and he stabs and it was just a bunch of pillows. That made more sense as compared to the last time we saw Laurie was knocked to oblivion.
Exactly.
Like, she was drugged all to hell. So how the hell did she just get back up?
Well, yeah, and that's
knew Michael was there and just decided to do that.
That's a good point too, and we're tearing this hospital stuff apart. I love this movie. I do. I own
it. It's a good movie. I'll give them that, movie.
Guys. But like when Laurie gets out of the room, she can barely even stand. I mean, she walks for like 4 or 5 feet, and then she drops and she crawls the rest of the way. And even when you see from her point of view, it's all blurred. It's like you have drunk goggles on. Like she's out of it.
I want whatever she's having.
Did she really have the frame of mind to arrange the pillows where it looks like she's laying there, so when Michael stabs, he thinks he's stabbing her? Like, would she have really had that motor frame skills. Of mind?
Yeah. No,
I don't know. That seems strange to me. I don't know. It just doesn't. It seems odd.
It would have made more sense for her to do that. But then when she leaves the room, that's when the drugs kick in, and then she's like, they're loopy. But I mean, that's here or there. But overall, I mean, that scene alone was it did drag on for a little bit, but the final meetup between Laurie and Michael was, it was well deserved in my eyes.
Yeah. Joel says, to this day, I always think of Halloween 2 when I'm in a hospital. Great setting for a horror movie. It is. And I love, love, love the fact that it took place in the hospital. That's not the issue at all. It's just there are little tidbits here and there that I think could have either been exchanged for other scenes or could have just been taken out because it really didn't add anything. I think they were trying to make it atmospheric, and part of the scary part about the hospital and it being set in a hospital is a house is different. There's only so many rooms in a house. There's only so many places he can be. And that's kind of scary because it's like he could be next door to me and I wouldn't. He could be in the closet and I would have no idea. The hospital is almost scarier because there are so many rooms. There are so many floors. There's so much ground to cover. He could be anywhere. But again, they didn't utilize that as well as they could have. By the way, Joel, if you're going to watch tonight, buddy, do our commentary. It's up on our channel. Check out our commentary as well. So let's talk about Jimmy and Bud. I like Jimmy and Bud. I do. I think Jimmy meant well. But when Laurie's hand is there and Jimmy walks up and he's like, and he's like stroking her thumb and whatever, I'm like,
Jimmy, you're a weird fellow. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, why would you? What? And
what are you doing?
Yeah. What pushed you to say, you know what? This is a great opportunity. This girl just went through something traumatic. I'm gonna shoot my shot. No, you don't do that. You're an EMT. Your goal is just to keep her alive or whatever to get her help. I'm pretty sure there's a thing EMTs talk about all the time, which is like, don't get too close to your patients. Dog, this guy was straight up.
Bud says that. Bud is saying that when he does the whole Amazing Grace come sit on my face thing. He's like it's funny because Bud's like nurses or no, he's like what does he say? He's like, don't ever get involved with patients. Nurses? That he does like the Sophia Petrillo. That's a different story. Like, and I mean, we get the whole him and Nurse Karen thing. But yeah, Jimmy I don't know. There's something about him that's very strange to me. Like, even if it was a girl that I was in love with, she just went through something awful and she is drugged up and in shock. Why are you like trying to ask her to Malone's? I mean, like, what do you do? I don't know. It's just a very
it's like this guy hasn't been laid in like a fucking year. Like, Jesus Christ! Like, he was just looking for any opportunity, anything that moved, he was going for it.
Yeah,
I was kind of, which made his death scene even all the more hilarious. Or not even like his death scene, just whenever he was like put out of the picture, I guess is the right way to put it, right?
Yeah, it was very strange. I did like, honestly, between the two of them, I like Bud better because Bud's hilarious. He's really funny. And let's talk about the hot tub scene. It's really great. They're trying to get together or whatever, and it's the most empty hospital in the United States of America. So I mean, she's got nothing to do.
That hospital went through some budget cuts. I'm not gonna lie.
She's like, I'll go check on the babies, and then I'll meet you downstairs. Like, what? Like, what? Don't you have like other people to check on? Is there anybody else besides Lori and infants checked into this hospital? Because we don't ever see anybody except for the little kid with the razor blade in his mouth, which was something that awful, by the way, terrible, which was something that they went back and added in for more gore because, again, this was a few years later and they felt like they needed more gore. So they put the kid with the razor blade holding the bloody thing and, you get the light glimmering on it or whatever. But he's the only person we ever see in the hospital.
Who took care of that kid? Was it the drunk doctor?
He's probably still in a waiting room waiting for somebody to
that was my initial thought right there.
Because Dr. Mixter got there and he was drunk and he's like, oh. I mean, I'm shocked he even walked in the room, but
I know that was something I was kind of thrown off in. I was like, is that a thing that happens in the 80s with doctors? Could doctors just get plastered before they have to deal with an ER patient? Okay.
Well, it's funny because the nurse even says, the mom of that poor kid is like, where is the doctor? And she's like, he's on his way down right now. And the nurse is like, he's probably at the country club, he's still drunk. And they're like, what?
That's not something I as the mother would want to hear. I would have been like, all right, Timothy, this is gonna hurt, and just pulls it right out. I would have done it before the doctor did.
I don't know. But yeah, so we get Karen and Bud go down to the therapy room in the basement where they get in the hot tub together, and they're kind of doing their thing and they're getting busy and whatever. And Michael is he gets playful with this one. This is one of the first times we really see Michael get like playful.
Oh,
He turns up the heat in the hot tub to the point where she's uncut. She's like, I don't want it. You got to get out and you got to fix this. It's awful. So obviously, he turns up the heat. She makes Bud get out to go get it. And we see Bud have the same kind of death that Ray had in 2018. Michael strangles him. We see it through the, like, not stained glass, but that textured, you know what I'm talking about, that textured glass where you can't really make anything out. You just see a silhouette. And Michael,
I think at that point you could finally see what Michael did with the rope that he stole in the first movie. I think right there they pretty much answered.
Did he still have that rope on him though?
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
After all this time, this whole night, he still got that rope on him?
He's got a utility. He's got a utility overall, man. He could hide anything in that thing.
That's fair. It was maybe it was like stuffed down in a pocket. I don't know.
Maybe that's what caught the bullets. The rope.
Yeah.
I'm just fucking kidding. That's stupid.
He went.
It's like the lasso of truth with Wonder Woman. He just...
But yeah, so Michael walks over, but this always struck me as very strange too. He walks over and he's like, oh, like he puts his hand on her shoulder, and of course she's like, and she's like licking his fingers or whatever. And I'm
by
like,
the way,
first
is
of
gross. As a don't do that. Even if I saw that hand, I would not want to put those fingers in my mouth. Even like I saw how dirty those hands is, and she put it in her mouth, and she kept going. Michael literally had to pull away to continue with the murder, but she wanted to keep going. I was like, "Girl, you nasty as fuck. Them hands are black as hell from dirt and killing people." So I was just in there like, I was like, Lord have mercy, you a dirty girl. Like, get out of here, girl. You need Jesus.
That was very strange. But obviously her death is one of the most iconic deaths of the franchise, and it's got to be. It's terrible because not only are you drowning, but your lungs are filling up with scalding hot water. Like,
yeah, you getting cooked, darling.
Whew.
Yeah,
and and the cool thing is not only
not
like
cooked, poached.
The
like an egg, like a poached egg. She literally got poached egg. Yeah.
Not only is, you're seeing her skin burn, and that's a really cool effect. And it's funny because I believe they said that was really, really hard because every time Dick Warlock would dunk her head in the water, and of course it's choreographed. So, I mean, she's doing this as well. He's not actually dunking her head in.
Is it choreographed? I'm about to say it because at the end,
I believe she's like, it would have to be
when it was like clear that she died and Michael pulled her out of the hot tub. She flailed that arm like a goddamn act. I was like, yo, calm down. She said, I'm gonna earn this $50 an hour.
She went.
Yeah, she said, I'm gonna earn this role. I was like, okay.
It hurt my arm.
Yeah. I'm sure that hurt her arm too.
She did. It's just like
she did. Yeah, I was like, okay, darling, keep going.
Yeah, that's strange. But yeah, so I mean, her death, it's a great death scene. But I remember them. This might have been in a commentary or a behind the scenes thing. I think they said it was hard to keep the makeup prosthetic on until the final scene where she drops, because it was like every time they would dunk it in, the prosthetics and the makeup would come off. So it was like they had to do it like fresh every time. They did a zoom up shot, and but it's a great death scene, man. It's probably, for me, it's there are two death scenes that are really, really influential for me, that are really like iconic to the franchise, and that's Nurse Karen's death. But there's also the other nurse, who is the better nurse of the two. She actually like stayed behind and was trying to do her job. When she goes to find Dr. Mixter and the shower is running, and good Lord, that shower looked like it was 250 degrees. The way the steam was coming out of there.
When Michael turned on that pressure, I mean, I'm sure that affected the entire hospital.
I mean, I don't know. But she walks in and she's like, Dr. Mixter, Laurie Strode's had a reaction to the medicine. Something's wrong. And she sits there for like 5 minutes before she realizes that he's slumped over in the chair, and she spins him around or whatever, and he's got the syringe in her eye, and you get the other iconic shot, which of course in the original, when Michael emerges from the darkness, is an incredible shot, and they recreated that with the
I mentioned that was pretty dope. Yeah.
And he comes out of the darkness, grabs her like by the face, and he sticks the syringe like in her temple. Like nasty. And that's another really iconic kill for me.
I was curious as to why. What did Michael inject her with? I couldn't tell what it was.
Does it
maybe
matter?
It was just air? What?
Does he care?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. Like, maybe, I don't know. That was I don't know. Michael just has some good accuracy, I guess, or like a sleight of hand to be able to do that. I'm just saying.
Fair. So yeah, that whole scene is incredible, and of course we finally get
Michael stabbed the doctor in the eye, didn't he?
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah.
An eye for an eye.
Yeah, and Joe Mama, you're completely right. The music during that scene was very scary. It made it very intense, very unsettling. It was a really, really great scene. I I promise we're going to get to all these chat questions too. If you have any questions, wait till we kind of get through this, and then we're gonna get your questions at the end as well. Jill says, when that kill happened, several ladies walked out of the theater. I think of that every time I see that scene. Really? That's interesting. That's very interesting. That's pretty cool.
When the kill happened,
when the syringe to the eyeball, the nurse to the temple, he said 2 women walked out of the theater during that scene.
Were they nurses?
Interesting.
This is not the profession I was thinking of.
By the way, we are an hour into the show. If you have not already, please be sure to leave us a like. That helps us out a whole lot. So then, of course, we get to the climax of the movie. And that's really, at this point, we didn't really talk about the school scene. I think that's, again, I think the whole school thing could have been cut out. Why did he go to the elementary school? Why did we need the Samhain, Samhain, however you say it, thing? Because Loomis gets to the elementary school, and you have the cop here. And here. Over here.
Dude, these Haddonfield cops are just trash.
I know, they're awful.
I mentioned that.
And of course, Loomis starts.
They only joined the force to get that bomb-ass bomber jacket. Other than that, they weren't there to do police.
Yeah, Miguel wants a Haddonfield Police Department jacket.
It looks dope. Looks dope. And it's winter season. It's perfect to get one. Guys, if you guys know where to find one, let me know.
Yeah. And what was I going to say? Oh, when Loomis starts sprouting out about the Samhain, it means the Lord of the Dead. And the cops are like,
what the fuck are you talking about?
I know, the cops look at him like, what is this guy? Are we being serious? Nurse Marion comes back, which is pretty cool. Marion Chambers comes back and is like, the governor's ordered you back to Smith. The governor! And he gets excited like, big stuff. This is good for my career. And
he thought it would be good, but then he found out about Ben Tramer. He was like, fuck.
All right. I know. He's like, crap, I forgot about that. That happened like an hour ago. But eventually he fires his warning shot. He gets the U.S. Marshal turned around, which is a great scene. I always love that. What do you usually do? Fire a warning shot?
I thought it was hilarious. At that point, in my head, that was when Loomis went crazy. Whenever he shot out the window, I said, at that moment, you don't go back. Loomis was far gone right there.
Loomis is like, well, I'm already going to prison for the death of a child. So, but yeah, man, it's great. So of course, the climax of the film for me is when Laurie and Michael finally come face to face. The nurse is like, Laurie, and Michael comes around the corner, stabs her with the syringe, and lifts her up.
It wasn't a syringe; it was a scalpel, which is something
I'm sorry, the scalpel. And
Michael had a scalpel the entire movie. I was thrown off by that. I was like, he's not getting his little kitchen knife. And then whenever he picked up the nurse with that scalpel.
This is my
dog. That scalpel's got to be made. That scalpel's got to be made of titanium.
I have the scalpel sitting right here with my.
Oh, is that really what that was?
I rehauled that H2 mask, by the way. Yeah, my blood.
I'm not gonna lie. I use that. For those of you that know that we're about to pull out, I don't know if you checked, but in the commentary for Halloween 1 and Halloween 2018, I high key used that scalpel to pop my 45 open. It is what it is.
Yep. I got my whole little H2 set up. I got my VHS. I have it on VHS. I also
be kind. Please rewind.
Be kind. Rewind. I have the scalpel that I sit with the. This is just the Trick or Treat. It's not a real scalpel. It's just the Trick or Treat Studios scalpel. And this is the Tots H2 mask. But I actually I rehauled this guy. So it was my first rehaul I ever did. So I was
bleeding from the nose.
Yeah, which doesn't happen in the movie, but I thought it looked cool. So I did it. So
it was a dead ass mistake, and he was like, "Well, it looks good."
This was the first rehaul I ever did, and I was pretty pleased with it.
And at that moment, he started combing these guys' hair daily.
I didn't.
He said, "This is fun. I'm gonna keep doing it."
So, but yeah, so that was my first rehaul I ever did. But yeah, so the climax, Michael starts chasing Laurie. He lifts the nurse up, and I think it's funny that her shoes drop off, her clogs fall.
Whenever he died, off of her feet. As soon as she gasped her last breath, that's when the shoes fell off. I was like, really? Right? That's how it worked.
Really,
it was the same. It was the same acting choice as the other nurse that flailed her arms. As soon as she gasped her last breath, her feet literally went like, okay, taking the shoes off. She kicked her foot and okay, she was gone. Perfect. So
it's funny.
That was my mic again, guys. I don't know.
You better pick that up.
This thing, man. I don't know.
Man, that deserves a good old
eat a dick.
Oh man! So we get Michael chasing. Michael's starting to chase Lori through the hospital, and even it's a good chase scene, but even that chase scene drags on a little bit. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree.
It does have one of my favorite shots of Myers ever, though, and that's when Lori is getting down the stairs, and you look up, and it's like almost if you were laying on the floor and you looked up the staircase, like in front of you, and you see Michael walking down the stairs, but he's not looking down, like he's looking straight out in front of him as he's going down the stairs. And that always registered for me as like a really creepy moment. Like he's not even looking where he's going. But that's one of my favorite shots of the franchise. They're all
Thanks, Art.
They're laughing at you, which is what I do all the time. So we get to the basement. Michael chases Lori through the basement. This was always something that kind of pissed me off, and this pissed you off too. She gets in the elevator. She finds Mr. Garrett. Mr. Garrett's all wrapped up. He's dead in the basement. She climbs up the rafters. He's swinging I dropped the scalpel. He's got the scalpel. He's swinging it, trying to get her feet or whatever, and she gets through. Did he climb through the?
I guess he climbed. He climbed through that thing.
It's so funny to think of him like trying to climb.
He's 22 years old, so I mean, like he has the agility to do it. It would have been more funny in Halloween Kills if he would have done that. I'm like,
he's also been like
just did that.
Well, the dude hopped on top of a van though.
That's different. For him to like squeeze his 68-year-old beer belly gut through that little crevice, that's a feat. But a 22-year-old Michael Myers that just got shot, yeah, I'm sure he can get through it.
But it's not a beer belly gut. I've eaten like hospital chicken and dumplings every day of my life for the last 40 years.
They kept giving him dogs. They read his file and he was like, I'll only eat dogs, man. I guess we got to give him dogs.
Oh man. So the thing that always made me like angry was Lori gets in the elevator and she's kind of, I actually I think that's in our thumbnail for this episode. If you look at Lori in the back, she's kind of standing there. She's got her arms out at the back and Michael goes to stick it. Keep in mind, this is the man that has survived being shot, stabbed, falling off of the second story of a house.
Hit by a car, burned to a crisp.
Okay,
he's got I know,
but whatever. But he's been through hell tonight. I mean, he has done a lot. And this guy sticks his hand in the elevator, and he's like, and he can't open the elevator door. Like, are you being serious right now? Like, that was very strange to me.
He literally, he took all of that, but then with an elevator, he says, "Nope, not taking that bet." I guess elevators are his weaknesses. I'm glad
if he would have gotten in the elevator, roll credits. But I mean, like, you know,
yeah, I guess. But I mean, it should have just had him like not catch the door for him, because all of us has been in an elevator and we've always caught the elevator at the last minute, and we've always shoved our hand right there, and it's always opened back up for us. So I was like, at first, I was like, well, this is the end of Lori, I guess. Oh, here we go. But then he literally just goes, I know. I was like, what?
Yeah. He just, I don't know. It looked like he
shot in the eye twice and keeps going. But
it looked like he was gonna try, and he was like, I never mind. Like,
he literally stuck his hand in there, and he was like, oh shit, I forgot plot armor. Oh, whatever. I'll get her later.
Plot armor. So yeah, man, I don't know. That was kind of a strange thing. Elevators, maybe Michael's Achilles heel.
That's what I was saying, man.
I was trapped in a club elevator once. I can't. I am.
Have you been trapped in an elevator?
No. I am terrified. I can't stand. Like, if I can take an escalator, I'll take stairs before I'll take elevators. Like, it's better for me anyways. Like, I can't stand elevators. I do not. And I'm not claustrophobic. I'm not usually afraid of heights. Like, I'm like kind of okay with all that, but I can't do elevators. I don't know what it is. Elevators freak me out.
Do you ever wonder what a dog thinks of whenever he gets put in an elevator? It's like you put him in one world and he comes into an entirely different world. You know what I mean? Like a dog probably like, oh, where'd we go?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't believe he's ever killed anybody in an elevator. He hasn't. That's never been done in a Halloween film.
This is a great theory we need to start adding to the chat. I'm just saying, Michael is afraid of elevators. It's like Jason and water.
That's his kryptonite, elevators.
Yep.
That's how they're gonna kill him in Halloween Ends. They're gonna get him on an elevator and he's gonna have like a panic attack and die. Like that's how it's gonna end.
Yeah.
So the ending of the film, Loomis arrives at the hospital. Laurie's in the parking lot. I know Jimmy does come out and he's in his Kentucky, which we didn't even talk about that. The blood floor scene where Jimmy slips. Miss Al's is Michael has hooked her up where she's bled out.
Michael again.
Jimmy slips. Boom, hits his head, and the last in the theatrical cut. I know there is a
alternate. There ending,
is an alternate ending where Jimmy sits up in the sheet once they're in the ambulance or whatever. But in the theatrical cut, really, the last time we see Jimmy is when he's kind of got his concussion going on. And he's like, "You're gonna be okay," and he just face plants into. I know it's like,
it's like a record player just like dying, like
yeah. And he just face plants into the thing, and Laurie's like, "I gotta go." Like, and she gets out of the car, she falls. Michael chases her in, and of course we get him walking through the door, which is dope.
I said when I saw that, when I saw him walk through that door, I was like, and an elevator stopped you? What the fuck? I was like, are you kidding me, guys? This man walked through a door like Rob Dyrdek did in that episode. Like he just walked through that, just no cares in the world. He says, "This is a glass door. This ain't gonna stop me."
Yeah.
And then Loomis.
He does that, but he couldn't open the elevator door.
Yeah. But then Loomis came out and finally got his, the rest of his shots. Now he can say, "I shot him 12 times,"
right?
Or some bullshit like that.
Well, and I like it because Loomis is like, "Get away from him," to the U.S. Marshal, and he's like, he's not breathing, and Michael just goes, "Psych!" Then he slits his throat or whatever, and and it's funny because Loomis has the gun pointed, and he's like, and he just grabs Laurie and runs. Like he doesn't even tell Laurie to run. He's just like, and he like drags her away. Like he's like, "I'm done. I'm not even."
Yeah, he said, "This goes beyond my PhD."
So Michael chases them through. They get to an operating room. And let me know what you guys think of the chat. And I brought this up in our commentary. When Loomis tries to hand Laurie the gun, she doesn't want to take it. She's scared. I'm sure she is exhausted by this point.
She's still drugged up.
She's drugged up. Yeah, that door scene scared the hell out of him as a kid. Yeah, man, it was great.
Again, a wooden door scene. He just bursts through. And
I think he's talking about the glass door when he just shatters the glass door like with his body. But yeah, that door scene, it's a good door break, man. When he's breaking through the door or whatever, and when he stabs Loomis, to me, it always felt like he didn't mean to kill Loomis. I feel like if he was going to kill Loomis, like if there's anybody Michael should hate more than anybody, it's Loomis. You know what I mean? And I feel like Michael didn't really want to kill him. It was almost like a little love tap, like
give it a little love tap.
Like he stabs him, and Loomis is like, "Oh," and he falls, and Laurie goes, "Michael," and he's like,
"Oh yeah, he does the head turn."
Well, yeah, he does do the head tilt. He's like, "How you know my name?" Like, or whatever. And obviously, Laurie shoots him twice.
By the way, in the eye, like, let me talk about it. Lori is drugged all the hell up. Goofy goggles, drunk glasses, all that shit.
Googly
But
eyes.
gets 2 clean shots in the eye. In my head, I'm thinking, holy shit, this is the start of Ridley Scott's Laurie Strode. I said that now she's a badass because she got 2 great shots in the eye.
And she's high. She's on morphine. And she's, but that's great. And of course, then they start playing Marco Polo with the Marco Polo with the oxygen tanks. Michael's swinging, and Dick Warlock hates that scene, by the way. He can't
love
he
adding
thinks it
that.
looks stupid.
Yeah. I love that scene with the Marco Polo because I was wondering what they were doing. They were like opening these gases, but I kept reading the labels too. I was like, oxygen, this CO2. And that. I was like, oh fuck. Oh fuck. Yeah. Knowing what was to come, I was like, oh, this ain't just this ain't oxygen.
And of course we get Loomis's get out now. Not now. Not now.
Can't do it,
now. Yeah. And of course Laurie runs. Loomis slips the lighter that Deputy Hunt gave him, and he's like, "It's time, Michael." Kills them both, or so we thought. And of course, you get the cool shot of Michael walking out of the fire, and Laurie looks like what now? Like what do you do now? Like it almost looks like she would just be like, "All right, go ahead, do it." Like I don't know what else to do. Like go ahead, do it, kill me. And that's cool because Dick Warlock has said like. The zippers on that fire retardant suit were metal. So they were like burning his skin, and I believe they did like 2 or 3 takes of that scene. So like he kept doing it, even though it was actually like it was really burning him, the metal.
You can imagine the amount of fucking salt he had whenever they finally, put him out, and the director is like, all right, do it again.
Rick Rosenthal, can we do that one more time?
Yeah.
And the fire's burning hot. Like I believe somebody pointed out, and I never noticed this until like a couple previous times watching this. You can actually see like the soundstage like walls like melting and like breaking. Like the wood is kind of starting to like cave in from the heat. But I mean, Dick Warlock said, like stunt actors today, like still now are like, dude, I don't know how you did that scene. Like that's like the craziest fire scene I've ever seen in a movie, and it is. He is on fire. Like he is in fire. Like he is engulfed in flames in that scene, and it looks incredible.
Well, that's 80s movie making productions, and we don't really safety. What is that?
You actually burn somebody. Yeah. But yeah, and of course that's kind of the end of the film. Laurie gets on the ambulance. She's got a chemistry. She's got to go take her test. She's like, am I going to school tomorrow?
No, they literally send her to another hospital. Like, well, this one didn't work out. On to the next.
I know. So, and that's the end of the film.
Yeah.
There's Halloween
end of the film, guys.
And we, let me know, guys, if you're watching after the facts in the comments below, or you guys that are in the chat. We didn't even talk about this, but Halloween 2 did one of the most controversial things of the entire franchise. And that was making Michael and Laurie brother and sister. Halloween 2 was the beginning of the brother-sister story arc, which again was something that John Carpenter never wanted to do. That was never part of their original intent or their original plan, because he felt like there was no plot. He felt like there was no plot.
He said, I don't want to make this movie because there's nothing left to go. Fuck, I gotta make them brothers and sisters now.
So let me know if you're watching after the fact, or if you're in the chat right now watching live with us. Do you like the brother-sister story arc? I did for a long time until the new timeline, and I'm like, I've kind of changed my tune a little bit on that.
I think it looks stupid.
Do you think it's stupid?
Yeah, I think it's stupid. I said, what the fuck was up with that flashback for? What was the point?
Yeah, the flashback doesn't make any sense.
They made no point, and then they didn't build anything off of the story.
When Michael turns around, he's like that's how he looks when he turns. It's very strange.
He was like, "You're not my sister."
Yeah, it's like Thanos. I don't even know who you are. Like, but yeah, I don't know. I liked for a long time. I was a huge proponent of the brother sister thing. But the more I've gotten, the more this franchise has marinated, especially with the new timeline. I'm kind of over the brother sister thing. I think it served its purpose in Rob Zombie's films. It served its purpose in H2O and Resurrection. And of course, 4, 5, and 6. Of course, Jamie Lee Curtis wasn't in 4, 5, and 6, but Danielle Harris, who played Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter, Michael was her uncle. So I mean, that obviously I think it served its purpose, but again, it's almost kind of
that's the uncle you definitely don't invite to Thanksgiving dinner.
I know, right? The one who's trying to murder you. Yeah. Art says he doesn't mind it, but he's happy with the new timeline. I agree too. I kind of get it either way. There are things I like about it. There are things I don't like about it. Joel Fallon, I don't mind the sibling thing, especially since that means David Gordon Green would have left H2 canon. Yeah, and I know
that is
Mike
true.
Mike and Jay had mentioned this. Dave McRae had mentioned this.
If the brother and sister thing wasn't there, Halloween 2 would have been
right.
Halloween 2018 would have been Halloween 3.
Right. And I think Halloween Kills it almost seems like they wanted H2 to be canon, even though they know it couldn't have been. Because, of course, what do you do? Look at the end of Halloween 2. How do you realistically say that Loomis and Michael survived? And I know we did it with Halloween 4. I know they were like, hey, Loomis and Michael both survived. But, like, realistically...
I'm interested to see how Loomis survived.
Realistically, Loomis and Michael would have been destroyed. Like, their bodies wouldn't even have been left. You know what I mean? You would have had bone, like burned bone remains. That would have been what you had left from that kind of explosion and that kind of fire. So, I don't know. That's kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, I don't mind the sibling thing. Again, I think it served its purpose. And I think it's refreshing now that the new timeline's kind of given us something different. Again, my biggest compliment to this film is that it really does. It feels like Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 are the same film. Of course, Dean Cundey filmed both of them. John Carpenter did write it. It still feels John Carpenter. Even though John Carpenter didn't direct it, it does still feel like a John Carpenter film. And I know a lot of people, it is a little bit gorier. It's not gory, but it does, again, it came out 3 years later. There were over 20 other slashers, even if they were B-movie films, that came out in between Halloween and Halloween 2. So they had to up the gore. And I know they reshot things. They added the kid with the razor blade. They added the first death of the girl when he kind of like boing, like springs out and stabs her in the chest or whatever. But it did have more gore. I did like Dick Warlock's performance. We didn't really talk about that a whole lot. Do you like it? From what you've seen, I know you've really only seen Nick Castle and James Jude Courtney. How do you think Dick Warlock's performance as Michael kind of stands up compared to James Jude and Nick Castle?
I would say I still prefer James Jude Courtney over all of them. Yeah.
Honestly, man, I don't know what it is. And I know you can almost equate James Jude Courtney and Nick Castle as the same, but there's something very unsettling about James Jude Courtney's performance, and I don't know what it is. I still haven't been able to put my finger on it. And of course, Nick Castle is always going to be the OG, but James Jude Courtney just feels
like he can't be stopped. That's the thing. It's like wherever Michael is, wherever Michael has an objective, he's going towards that. As compared to in Halloween 2, he's going sporadically. He's just walking around, just killing whatever you can think of. But with James Jude Courtney, he was walking with a mission. He says, "I'm here to fuck shit up," and it's like, I don't know. There's like a certain like pep to his step. He says, "I'm here to, I'm gonna fuck you up."
I don't know. There's something about James Jude Courtney that I adore his portrayal of the Shape. I absolutely love it. Art says they made 2 direct sequels to H2, H4 and H2. We don't need a third direct sequel to H2. And I agree with that. I think this film has served its purpose. We will do a ranking, and this movie is in the top 5 on my ranking. I'll kind of leave you with that. We didn't really talk about the score. The score was great. They brought Alan Howarth to kind of rescore, update things a little bit. It's basically the same. All of the themes and the melodies, the thematic material is the same as H1, really. It's not any different. It's just that
it's
updated synthy 80s retro wave kind of, it's got that vibe to it. And of course, Miguel, even though it is the same mask, and of course, we've all heard the stories about Debra Hill. She was a smoker. Some say, I know Nick, I forget his name. He does mask rehauls. I believe his YouTube channel is Sing with Nick. Nick, his last name starts with an N. I forget. I know he has said famously that Debra Hill kept the mask above her mantle, so it was like smoke from her fireplace was getting up there.
Was she chain smoking directly to the mask?
There's a lot of
smoking
people
with the mask. Like,
there's a lot of people that have said that it was in a shoebox under her bed, but then again, smoke rises. So I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting thought. I really don't know. It's one of those things. Do you prefer the mask in H1 to H2? Even though it's really the same exact mask. I mean, it's literally the same thing.
That's funny because it looks different in my
eyes. It does look completely different. It's more, and you have to think it's more yellowed. It's the around the neck where you've touched it. Like I even tried to kind of emulate that, like on my H2 copy. Like if you look at the neck, I mean, like you can really see like where it's starting to like wear away, and you could see that more on you could kind of see that more like on the neck where you were starting to see the Shatner mask come through a little bit more. But yeah, man, it's a solid sequel. It's one of the most solid sequels in horror history. So without further ado, Miguel, because I know you're going to want to do a rating, are you not?
Yeah.
What is your rating of Halloween 2? And I'm not going to lie, I haven't even thought about mine. That just dawned on me.
Yeah, out of a 10, I would give it like, I don't know, like a 7.1.
That's fair.
7.1.
That's fair.
Don't kill me in the chat, guys. 7.1 for me.
As a Halloween film, I'm going to give it a 7.8. As a Halloween film, it's a 7.8. As a movie, it's in and of itself, it's like a 6.3 for me. It is. If you remove, though, that's removed from me personally. I love this movie. If we're being completely honest, I probably watch Halloween 2 more than any entry in the franchise. Seriously. I watch Halloween 2 probably 4 or 5 times a year. I'm not exaggerating. I really do. And not just Halloween season. Like it's honestly, it's the one that I watch like year round. I don't know why. It's just, there's something nostalgic about it. I think Joel, you hit it on the head, man. It's nostalgic. There's something about it that Halloween 2 is just special for a lot of different reasons.
He just like to see Ben Tramer blow up, man. Let's not beat around the bush.
Miguel sent me a text yesterday and he said, I've watched the Ben Tramer death scene an unhealthy amount of times. So I don't know. Let's over to the chat real quick. If you guys have any questions, any comments, whatever you want to say, let us know in the chat real quick. Art says, I just pretend that the dirt smudges and dog poo that Michael fell into when he fell off the balcony in H1 changed the aesthetic of his mask in H2. Yeah, I would agree with that. You could even say that too. That's a really great point. Joel says, solid 9 for me. Never get tired of watching it. Me too, man. I really don't. I never get tired of Halloween 2. I really, really don't. And honestly, I don't know. As a Halloween film, it's probably an 8. It's probably an 8 for me because I really do adore this movie. Again, if you look at it as a standalone film, it's like it's not as great as a standalone film, but as a fan, as a Halloween fan, as a part of the Halloween franchise, it's an 8 for me. So, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Purely and Simply Evil. Again, if you have not checked out our commentary for Halloween 2, that is live on our channel, and I will work on getting that in actual podcast form on the podcast platforms pretty soon, along with all of our other shows. This has been our review and discussion of Halloween 2 from 1981. This is our 3rd episode of Purely and Simply Evil, and we will have more episodes of this show coming down the pipeline as well. Miguel wants to check out Event Horizon. I know a whole lot of people have mentioned Halloween 4. They really want us to see Halloween 4. So we will continue with the Halloween films. We will continue checking out all of these old horror films. Guys, we will be back sometime this week. I know the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer drops tomorrow. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to go live tomorrow night. We'll try to get something maybe, but I can't guarantee it. We will be back later this week. We'll do a full breakdown on the main show on Let's Talk Movies of the Spider-Man No Way Home official trailer. Tomorrow's going to be a big day for us Marvel heads. We're big Halloween guys, we're big horror guys, but Marvel is another big thing. So guys, please be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at We Talk the Movies. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight, and we will see you next time on Let's Talk Movies. Take it easy, have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon. See you.
Peace.